This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 10th day of February in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Chances of finding survivors of that backtrack crossing mishap have been dashed as the bodies of two of the missing persons have washed up ashore from the Quarantine River. One other person is still missing. Earlier today, the bodies of 77-year-old Baboni Harihar and 30-year-old Alvin Joseph were found. Investigators and family members continue to search for the body of the third victim, Sharida Hussein. The three who used the backtrack speedboat to come across to Guyana from Suriname on Monday night were put off on a sandbank in the river at number 63 Beach. The trio never made it to shore. It's unclear whether they drowned while attempting to make it to shore or whether a change of the tide was responsible for taking their lives. One of the victims contacted relatives at around 7:30 on Monday night to tell the relatives that she was traveling across from Suriname. The relative explained that in the area where they were put off, the water was waist high. Distraught family members are calling for a full investigation of the incident. Local police investigators have been trying to gather information on the boat and its captain that made the fatal drop-off. The backtrack crossing of the Quarantine River between Guyana and Suriname is unregulated and has been used by citizens of both sides for several years. Because it is unregulated, the speedboat operators from both Guyana and Suriname would traverse the waterways late at nights and early in the mornings to avoid the authorities. The Guyana-Suriname ferry crossing has been closed since last March because of the coronavirus pandemic, forcing persons wanting to travel between the two countries to use the unregulated crossing. The Ministry of Public Works in Guyana has extended sympathy to the family of the dead persons, while reminding persons of the dangers associated with the use of the backtrack crossing. More news coming up in just a moment.
The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports is pleased to present Guyana Talent Search. If you can sing, dance, draw, or paint, play a musical instrument, perform magic acts, do comedy, drama, or any other talent, then send a 1-minute video with your talent to our WhatsApp number, 653-1742. Video entries must be sent before February 20th and must include your name, age, and where you're from. Shortlisted participants will be invited to a live audition, and finalists will receive a cash prize and perform in a live virtual event broadcast all across Guyana. This is your time to shine. Check the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports Facebook page for more details. We are one Guyana.
Did you know that you can check your NIS contributions online? Simply visit our website at www.nis.org.gy. Click on the Create New Account button and enter the required information. An automatic email notification will be sent to acknowledge your application. Once your information is authenticated, you will receive an email within 48 hours with instructions on how to access the site. Once logged in, you can click on the My Contributions tab on the left side of the screen to view your contributions. For further information, you can call our Records Department on 225-2798 or visit your nearest NIS office.
Dare to slay. Are you prepared to represent all Guyanese women on the Miss World stage? Entrepreneurs, social media influencers, beauties with degrees, athletes, humanitarians, and performing artists, top models with charisma, and oh yes, if you so please, friends or frenemies who are as real as can be. Dare to slay, then apply without fear, making 2021 your boldest, bravest year. Win a car, $500,000 in cash, and loads of other prizes fitting for a queen. It's Miss World time. Are you ready to slay? Victoria Regia Season 1 begins. Apply today. www.missworldguyana.com.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. Because we see Guyana through your eyes.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95, tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95, tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guyoil's Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyoil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Welcome back. With the government still offering few details on the recently terminated agreement with Taiwan to open an office here in Guyana, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has indicated that the move was never approved by the cabinet. During a press conference yesterday, Mr. Jagdeo said the agreement should have never taken place. Although the matter has grabbed international headlines, the Vice President said it is still to be discussed by the cabinet. The agreement was signed on the 11th of January, but kept a secret until the U.S. government and the local U.S. embassy revealed the agreement in a press release last week, praising the move. Less than 24 hours after the U.S. government announcement and the Foreign Ministry's acknowledgement of the agreement, the government announced that the agreement was being terminated. That decision followed a meeting between senior government officials and the acting Chinese ambassador to Guyana. China described the agreement as a mistake and called on Guyana to correct it. China sees Taiwan as a breakaway province and has always regarded Taiwan as part of China. Guyana has been observing the One China policy for over 4 decades, and the signing of the agreement with Taiwan to set up a trade office here was seen as an attack on that policy and the strong ties between Guyana and China. Taiwan is upset that Guyana has cancelled the agreement and claims Guyana's decision was forced by China's bullying tactics. With the Vice President, who was a former president, declaring that the cabinet never proved a major foreign policy shift in the signing of the agreement, it is unclear who provided the all-clear for the Foreign Minister to move ahead with the agreement. It is also unclear why the government kept it a secret for almost a month. Still traumatized by the ordeal they faced after being arrested by the Venezuelan Navy and taken across to Venezuela, 5 of the 12 recently released fishermen are calling for more protection from Guyana security forces when they are operating in Guyana's waters. The fishermen described their ordeal as a kidnapping and said it was a horrifying experience. They were arrested by the Venezuelan Navy last month while operating in Guyana's waters. They were forced to travel across to Venezuela, where they were detained for almost 2 weeks. Speaking to the news source, some of the fishermen said they are now fearful to continue their operations without adequate security. Fisherman Harry Chan Omadat.
Well, it's a real experience for we 5 Guyanese. It's a real experience. Sometimes you can left you home and you even can't know how the man if you can reach home back.
Mr. Umadat said carrying out their operations is usually calm during the day, but there is a fear that comes over them at night, as that is when the Venezuelan Navy would carry out operations within Guyana's waters.
The man coming till in the water. The man coming up far in the water night time and coming up, and by the time they clean, by the time, remember now is time you're walking out for fishing in, right? Give you 6 hours and thing. So the man just hold up and light and wait till the fishing boat put on and light, and then sneak up to you. So when they sneak up to you, then you can't go nowhere. You got freeze there.
Some of the other fishermen also recounted the ordeal and said many of their valuables were taken away by the Venezuelan Navy.
Yeah, like around $700,000 in fish, and that's it.
The fishermen believe that Guyana should work with its partners to ensure additional monitoring of the country's waters, since the Venezuelans appear to be increasing the frequency of their patrols in Guyana's waters. The 12 fishermen were released on the orders of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, as international pressure mounted against Caracas over the issue. The fishermen were well within Guyana's exclusive economic zone when they were accosted by the Venezuelan Navy and taken to Venezuela. Guyana condemned Venezuela's continuing threats and tactics. Let's tell you now that Guyana received 1,500 doses of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine from the government of Barbados today. 100 of the doses will go to the CARICOM Secretariat for the vaccination of staffers there, while the other 1,400 will go exclusively to frontline workers in Guyana. President Irfan Ali thanked the Barbadian Prime Minister this morning for sharing part of that country's first batch of vaccines with Guyana. The vaccines arrived in Guyana this afternoon on a special flight and was handed over to health officials. Guyana recently donated testing kits to Barbados as the country saw a sudden rise in new coronavirus cases. Barbados has received 100,000 doses of the vaccine from India and plans to roll out a national vaccination drive within days. Guyana is expecting its main shipment of vaccines through the UN's COVAX initiative and through a CARICOM African Union partnership. The Ministry of Education has announced that due to the ongoing review by the Caribbean Examination Council, it is unable to make a full disclosure of the results from the July-August 2020 examinations. With some expectations that the results would have been released today, the Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chand, expressed some disappointment since the country cannot make a full disclosure.
And this remains why we are unable to, we believe it would be reckless at this point for us to announce who have the usual announcement that Guyana makes. These are the number of students with the highest number of grade 1s, because there are students with outstanding reviews that could change that picture. So if we were to make an announcement, it would be very clumsy. It would sound something like this. Student A, B, and C received the highest number of grade 1s in this amount. Somebody got 20, somebody got 19, somebody got 18. But this picture could change because student D currently has an outstanding review or 2 outstanding reviews that could put student D higher than student C, B, or A. So it would be a very clumsy announcement, and we're unable to, we don't want to do that to our students.
After the results were released for the July-August examinations, students across the Caribbean region, including Guyana, expressed concern about their grades, forcing CXC to review those grades.
You would think in ordinary circumstances, they would have taken just a few weeks to finish the 4% outstanding and to give us our entire 100% result. Here's the problem with that. On the 4th or the 3rd of February, Barbados, which is where CXC is based, the headquarters, went into lockdown, full lockdown. They can't go to work. They can't do any of this processing. I am assured by Dr. Wesley that what they can do, he's the registrar of CXC, what they can do, virtually they are doing, but they're affected by the lockdown that is happening there. And as you know, it's not something we can be unsympathetic to, because we're all, the world is in this pandemic right now. So that's been what's uncertain. So I can't say when.
The education minister said it is unacceptable that CXC is still reviewing grades at this time when other students are preparing for their CXC examinations.
So it's not psychologically a good place to be in. We do say, though, to all our students and teachers and parents that this is going to end. There is going to be an end to this. And know that next year you're not going to have this problem on your hands. In 2 months' time, I'm very sure, I hope, that this will not still be something that you're addressing, because by then this should be sorted out. So I hope people can see that there is an end in sight.
The Caribbean Examinations Council has not released a timetable for the 2021 examinations. Well, let's tell you now that several recently hired medical technologists at the National Public Health Laboratory who are involved in conducting tests for COVID-19 are contemplating strike action over salaries owed to them. News source understands that the staffers who were hired back in September are still to receive a single salary. They were all hired as part of the government's efforts to increase testing for COVID-19 and reduce the waiting time for results. Since taking up their jobs, they have found themselves working 8-hour shifts daily, but have still not received a salary. The situation has become frustrating for them, since repeated checks with Health Ministry and public service officials for information on when they will begin receiving their salaries have provided little clarity. At one stage, they were told that they were still to be added to the public service, while on another occasion they were told that approval was still to be finalized for their hiring, although they have been on the job for over 4 months. With 4 months of salaries owed to them, the Ministry of Health is now moving to ensure all systems are in place to begin the payments. However, news source has learned that the frustrated staffers have indicated that if they are not paid within the next week, they will stay home from the frontline job from the 1st of March. Retired Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force Gary Best was today freed of a drunk driving charge after a city magistrate upheld a no-case submission filed by his attorneys. Best was charged for driving under the influence of alcohol and separately for causing the death of national cyclist Jude Bentley. He was recently freed of the causing death charge, but the Director of Public Prosecutions has since appealed that decision by the magistrate's court. On the drunk driving charge, the attorneys for Gary Best argued that there was simply insufficient evidence to convict. During the trial, one of the investigating police officers called to the stand also admitted that the breathalyzer test was unreliable, since the breathalyzer machines used to conduct the test were not regularly calibrated. Attorney Nigel Hughes then filed a no-case submission and the court upheld the submission, allowing Best to walk free of the charge. It was in March of last year that Best, who was driving his SUV, got involved in the accident with a cyclist who was training. The cyclist died on the spot, and Best remained at the scene to assist with the police investigation. The police force later reported that he was found to be above the legal limit for alcohol. He has since apologized over the incident.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then, since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Due to the impacts of the global pandemic, COVID-19, across our nation, essential organizations like us have chosen to adopt innovative approaches to meet the emerging needs of our customers while protecting our employees. Here are some quick tips to make managing your GPL bill easier while we practice social distancing. To register for electronic billing, you can use the e-billing tab on your website. To access your bill balance, you can use 4 options: the website live chat at gpl.net, the online inquiry on our website under billing, SMS Freedom by texting your GPL reference number to 624-0400 or 608-8400, or call our call center at 226-2600. A message from the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Across the region right now, the Organization of American States on Tuesday said its General Secretariat was closely monitoring the current situation in Haiti and that it is concerned with the respect for human rights and the independence of powers. A statement from the OAS said the OAS General Secretariat has an essential interest in the protection of democratic institutions and the political rights of its citizens. The OAS said its General Secretariat renews its support for the electoral process as the only option consistent with the democratic charter to replace the current constitutional president with another president. On Monday, opposition parties in Haiti declared 72-year-old Judge Joseph Messine the country's interim leader, a day after an alleged coup plot was foiled, as they insisted that President Jovenel Moïse must step down. In a video message, the judge said he accepted the choice of the opposition and civil society to serve his country as the interim president. Moïse, who has ruled by decree since mid-January, has stated that he would hand over power to the winner of the elections, but would not step down until his term expires next year. Jamaica's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, has announced the closure of the Jamaican embassy in Brazil. The closure takes effect from the 1st of March as COVID-related budgetary constraints sharpen the ministry's review of its representation overseas. The foreign minister said it, having acknowledged that similar decisions have been taken by Brazil and other countries. At this time, the government's assurance has been given to the government of Brazil of continued support and the engagement by the government of Jamaica at the bilateral and multilateral levels. The minister said the decision to close the mission in Brazil was reached after careful consideration of factors, including its exponential operational costs, which are difficult to justify, particularly at this time, in light of the minimal consular services requested of it. And finally tonight, international news. The World Health Organization recommends using the vaccine developed by the University of Oxford and AstraZeneca, even in countries tackling new variants of coronavirus. Some new forms of the virus appear to make vaccines less effective. The WHO also says the vaccine can be used in people above the age of 65, which some countries have advised against. Spacing out the two doses, as is happening in the UK, makes the vaccine more effective, the WHO said. The Oxford vaccine is seen as the vaccine for the world, as it is cheap, can be mass-produced, and is stored in a standard fridge. However, it has attracted controversy about its effectiveness against new variants, whether it should be used in the elderly, and how far apart the doses should be given due to a lack of data. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.